With the WINN FM Newscast, I am Yulana Weeks.
A probe is currently underway by the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force to better understand what caused the fatal accident that claimed the life of 29-year-old Antoine Mills Elliott of Camp St. Kitts. The incident occurred in the early hours of Thursday morning, March 13th, between 3:30 a.m. and 4 a.m. near the Lyons roundabout adjacent to the Gillard's gas station on Taylor's Road. Initial findings from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force's investigation indicate that Elliott was traveling west on the F.T. Williams Highway when his vehicle collided with a roundabout and the concrete wall surrounding the nearby gas station compound. The severity of the impact resulted in critical injuries to Elliott, who was pronounced dead at the scene by medical personnel. St. Kitts and Nevis, along with other Caribbean territories, find themselves in a difficult position following a statement by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. However, regional leaders are pushing back. Dr. Patricia Bartlett of the Nevis Reformation Party is calling on political leaders to maintain their relationship with Cuba.
I've been public about the way I feel about it. I think that if it is that the sanctions gonna come because we don't comply, then I'm thinking that we should prepare ourselves for the sanctions. We can't afford, to break the alliance that we have with Cuba just on a whim because, USA wants to get at Cuba.
Residents of St. Kitts and Nevis have long benefited from this relationship, particularly through access to Cuban medical specialists currently working in the Federation. Additionally, Cuba has provided scholarship opportunities for students across St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider Caribbean to study medicine.
As a matter of fact, we stand to lose much in Nevis because right now we have 12 Cuban nationals who are rendering medical services as specialists on Nevis. If we were to lose them, I don't know who would fill that void. I don't think the US is minded to do that. So I see no win for us. I mean, if it is individuals would have to take the sacrifice, and I think our leaders should step up to the plate. As a matter of fact, I just reposted something that I saw from Mia Motley, a statement that she would have made that she herself is willing to relinquish her visa. Just on a matter of principle. For her, it's a matter of principle. For us, it's a matter of survival because I can't see us, we are doing already poorly as it relates to our healthcare system. And I can't see us doing any better if the Cubans were to be withdrawn at this point.
In a statement published by the U.S. State Department on February 25th, Rubio announced an expansion of existing Cuba-related visa restrictions. He stated in part, quote, "We announced the expansion of an existing Cuba-related visa restriction policy that target forced labor linked to the Cuban labor export program. This expanded policy applies to current or former Cuban government officials and other individuals, including foreign government officials, who are believed to be responsible for or involved in the Cuban labor export program, particularly Cuba's overseas medical missions. This policy also applies to the immediate family of such persons."
Things that they have done before and things that are in the pipeline are destined to disrupt everything of the way of us. And we ought to be concerned. And so I don't please see us because I think our Caribbean leaders were very reactive. I don't see them, and I'm hoping that they have something, planned for a comprehensive look at what the fallout could be from this disruptive administration that we have up north. You can't be just reacting every time something comes out because you should be anticipating that things are not going to be smooth for this Trump term. And already we are seeing, I think yesterday I saw something that came out, an article that came out, that the Tropical is already indicating that because of the sanctions that they want to impose on China, that any vessel that was made in China, any boat that was made in China, mind you, and transport, goods and services, goods for us, from the US to here, they're going to be imposing $1 million on each cargo. That is just ridiculous. And so that is going to impact us in a big way. And so Caribbean leaders have to get together and start planning what they're going to do, have an alternative plan, because right now we're being attacked from all angles, not just health, but the economy is going to be disrupted, at least I think. And so I think they need to sit down and have a comprehensive, discussion as to the way forward.
The Secretary of State argues that the Cuban people are not fairly benefiting from the country's forced labor exports. Meanwhile, CARICOM Chair and Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, has taken a strong stance, declaring that she is prepared to relinquish her U.S. visa.
Barbados does not currently have Cuban medical staff or Cuban nurses, but I will be the first to go to the line and to tell you that we could not get through the pandemic without the Cuban nurses. I will also be the first to tell you that we paid them the same thing that we pay Bajans, and that the notion, as was peddled not just by this government in the US, but the previous government, that we were involved in human trafficking by engaging with the Cuban nurses was fully repudiated and rejected by us. Now, I don't believe that we have to shout across the seas, but I am prepared, like others in this region, that if we cannot reach a sensible agreement on this matter, then if the cost of it is the loss of my visa to the US, then so be it. But what matters to us is principles. And I have said over and over that principles only mean something when it is inconvenient to stand by it.
Trinidad and Tobago's outgoing Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, also addressed the issue during a recent event in his country.
We rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in the program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Additionally, St. Kitts and Nevis's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Denzel Douglas, recently told the media that he plans to discuss the matter with U.S. officials on the sidelines of the just concluded 56th General Assembly of the Organization of American States.
This is a matter that we have taken very, very seriously as a government and also as a region. In fact, just last week, Friday, we met as a group, all foreign ministers in the Caribbean community. We met virtually to look at the implications of this particular matter.
It remains unclear whether the Donald Trump administration in Washington, D.C. will seek to reverse this policy.
Investment migration professionals, citizenship by investment, CBI international marketing agents, ministers responsible for CBI across the region, and other stakeholders are preparing for the 2025 Caribbean Investment Summit, CIS 25, in Antigua and Barbuda from April 22 to 26, 2025. The summit will be held at the American University of Antigua. The Caribbean Investment Summit, CIS 25, is being hosted at a defining moment in CBI history. The Caribbean has been at a critical juncture, wrestling with the need for collective action to maintain integrity and credibility within the citizenship by investment CBI programs. One of the most prevalent issues plaguing Caribbean CBIs had been underselling, where citizenship was offered to prospective citizens at prices below the legally mandated thresholds. Therefore, to standardize practices and improve transparency, 5 Caribbean nations signed a memorandum of agreement. The nations committed to enhancing their due diligence framework, improving risk-sharing arrangements, and strengthening regulatory oversight to elevate the Caribbean's CBI programs. Calvin St. Just, Executive Chairman of the Board of Governors, Citizenship by Investment Unit St. Kitts and Nevis, confirmed that the Federation will be represented at the summit. St. Just anticipates that the summit will be transformative and redefine the Caribbean's investment landscape.
St. Kitts and Nevis has been a trailblazer in the citizenship by investment industry, setting benchmarks for transparency, integrity, and innovation. As I join the Caribbean Investment Summit community for the first time, I see a valuable opportunity not only to learn from key stakeholders, but also to drive meaningful discussions that will shape the industry's future. This event offers a valuable opportunity to gain insight into today's investors' priority, whether global mobility, wealth preservation, or sustainable investment, while also fostering discussions on geopolitical and economic shifts shaping the CBI landscape, enabling proactive adoption.
CBI stakeholders believe that a shift in the CBI landscape lies in adaptation and innovation under more robust regional standards. Therefore, at CIS 25, integrity, stability, and sustainability in the CBI industry are expected to be at the forefront of the discussions. Participants will engage in workshops and meetings discussing several key topics, including regional standards and regulatory alignment, united frameworks for program governance, enhanced due diligence protocols, market integration and sustainability, cross-border program coordination, financial sector harmonization, economic innovation and growth, strategic development opportunities, and technology-driven solutions. The discussions will likely enhance investor confidence, drive innovation, explore new pathways to economic prosperity, and set new global criteria for the industry. Meanwhile, on April 24, 2025, the inaugural Caribbean CBI Excellence Awards, regarded as the Caribbean's boldest innovation in citizenship investment, is scheduled to be held. Some power players in the CBI industry will be taking home awards for their varying contributions to the industry. The Department of Gender Affairs and the Alexandra Hospital in Nevis partnered together to offer free mammography services to women across the Federation in recognition of International Women's Day 2025. The 5-day offer was scheduled for March 10 to 15, 2025. The mammography machine, available at the Alexandra Hospital, offers advanced diagnostic digital images of the breast to help identify cancer early. Minister of Health in the Nevis Island Administration, Senator Janelle Nisbet, encouraged the women to participate in the initiative. Finances should never be a barrier to good health, said Nisbet, as she laid out the requirements for accessing mammography services.
I want to emphasize that because I understand that sometimes finances can be a barrier, and that should never be a barrier to good health. And so we opted to make this life-saving tool, this preventative tool, free of cost to women who want or need to access that service. It is also a requirement to have a referral to access a mammogram. So you need your doctor to be able to assess whether this is appropriate for you. And individuals also reached out to say that, that can have a cost as well. And we want to encourage you, if that is a barrier, please access the doctors that we have at our health centers across the island, and they too can provide that referral free of cost.
Radiology services in Nevis have undergone some transformation, transitioning from traditional practices to digital imaging. Mammography services are part of the advancements as the government pushes towards a more sustainable health sector. The mammography machine arrived in Nevis in 2023. It allows for 3D imaging, 2D screening, diagnostic examinations, and stereotactic biopsies. With outstanding image quality and high performance, it is proving to be one of the most advanced mammography systems on the market. A milestone that marked a significant turning point in the island's cancer care journey was when 399 women, soon after the machine's arrival, accepted the offer of free mammography services in 2023. The Nevis Health Minister said she is happy that the investment is stretching even further, with another initiative of providing free mammograms to the people of the Federation. The initiative highlights the greater good as local administrations and health professionals encourage increased cancer screenings. Regionally,
with tensions growing between Guyana and Venezuela over that border controversy, Guyana's Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, today issued a warning that there will be harsh consequences for any Guyanese or person residing in Guyana who pledges support for Venezuela's planned elections for a governor of Guyana's Essequibo region. Despite the International Court's 2023 order that Venezuela refrains from taking any action which would modify the situation that currently prevails in the Essequibo, whereby Guyana administers and exercises control over the area, the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has announced plans to host elections for a governor of the region on the eve of Guyana's 59th independence anniversary in May. Speaking at the opening of the Guyana Police Force's Inspectors and Sergeants Conference this morning, the Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben cautioned that there may be sleepers around who support the Venezuelan government and their outrageous claims. He said those persons will face treason charges.
We know that there are some sleepers here. We've put out a few already. We know Maduro is saying that on the 23rd of May, he will hold elections in Venezuela and he will appoint governors and other officials for Guayana Essequibo. And I've said today again, any person, Guyanese or otherwise, if it's a Guyanese who is appointed to be governor of Essequibo and be in place with Anna Regina, we will charge that person for treason and lock them up. Each and every one of them.
Minister Ben said there is now a more cautious approach in dealing with persons coming from Venezuela. To buttress his point, he noted that a denial of a number of Venezuelan migrants yesterday from entering Guyana shows that more work is being done to vet those who are coming over. He said although there is still a relaxed policy for those with family ties here in Guyana, any support for Venezuela's elections plans for Guyana's Essequibo will be met with consequences.
They're going to be charged for treason. And anybody who is supporting them will also be charged. The issue of Essequibo and the settlement, the 1899 arbitral award, was settled a long time ago and they had no interest in it until they had political problems there, and then when we found the isle.
Ben said a recent incursion in Guyana's waters by a Venezuelan Navy vessel and the shooting of 6 Guyanese soldiers near the Venezuelan border in the Cayuni were highly provocative and contributed to increased tensions.
Can come in the Cayuni below Etrimbang for purposes of innocent passage. Same thing out in our maritime, the EEZ, it's only innocent passage. They don't have a right to come into our place, take off the monitoring, the AIS, so we don't know where they are, and intimidate people. It is not innocent passage.
The Home Affairs Minister said Guyana continues to receive the support of the United States, the United Kingdom, the EU, the Commonwealth, CARICOM, and many other countries and international organizations in defense of Guyana's territorial integrity. Last week, Guyana approached the International Court of Justice seeking an order to block the Venezuelan government from moving ahead with any planned election for a governor for Guyana's Essequibo.
Former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson is demanding answers about the missing billions in the Stocks and Securities Limited SSL fraud case, casting doubt that former SSL employee Jean Panton acted alone in what has become one of the largest financial scandals in Jamaica's history. As Sandy Williams reports, Mr. Patterson raised the issue at the People's National Party's Outreach Commission's Region 3 seminar at Summit House in Kingston yesterday.
At the PNP's Outreach Commission's Region 3 seminar dubbed Let's Get the Record Straight, Least We Forget, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson made it clear that he does not indulge in rumor, speculation, or gossip. Instead, he insisted on dealing with facts, raising serious questions about the scale of the fraud at Stocks and Securities Limited SSL and who else might have been involved.
I know there is a legal presumption of innocence to which all accused are entitled. If anyone who thinks that whatever Ms. Panton is accused of doing, if in fact she did anything could be done by her alone, must still believe that the world is flat.
Mr. Patterson emphasized that this was not a partisan issue, but a matter of national significance that affects the integrity of Jamaica's financial sector. He didn't hold back in his criticism of the government, accusing it of treating the case as a matter of national secrecy.
How could any government in their right senses possibly think that the failure of a licensed institution to repay 200 investors whose money has vanished could become an issue of national secrecy.
Panton, the former SSL wealth advisor, is currently facing 22 charges, including falsification of accounts, forgery, and larceny. Among the victims of the massive fraud is sprint legend Usain Bolt, whose missing millions have drawn international attention to the case. The former Prime Minister argued that the scale of the fraud was too vast to have gone unnoticed, particularly by international financial watchdogs.
Even if he kept quiet about it, there is an interest because you have some publications that track the income and the worth of athletic stars and of musical stars. So they have been following the story. And when they see a sudden dip in their account, they're going to take notice of it.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Internationally,
tariffs are part of the president's ambitions to make America richer, but also to force China, Mexico and Canada to step up efforts to stop the flow of illegal immigrants and illegal drugs into the US. Fentanyl killed more than 70,000 Americans in 2023 alone. Most of it is made in Mexico and smuggled across the border. Our correspondent Quentin Somerville and camera journalist Darren Conway have spoken to members of the drugs gangs in Mexico and seen close up the impact that fentanyl is having in the US.
Where Mexico and the United States meet, the ground is shifting. It's Saturday night and every drug, every vice is served on the streets of Tijuana. Here, it's dangerous being a cop, so for their own safety, they keep their faces covered when they're on patrol. This small-time dealer is caught with a dozen wraps of coke and some meth. These are still good business for the cartels, but nothing makes them money like fentanyl. But this deadly business and the cartels are now attracting attention like never before. If Mexico can't get a grip on its criminals, America says it will do it for them.
This is cartel country, the heart of the fentanyl trade. The drug is 50 times more potent than heroin, 100 times more powerful than morphine. Tonight, we're going to meet the men behind the trade, which is killing tens of thousands of Americans every year. We're just coming up to their neighbourhood and can't be seen filming around here. Obviously, they don't want us to give away their location.
The US has these men in its sights. Their cartel has just been declared a terrorist organisation. But despite the threats, they say it's business as usual. This one batch could possibly kill thousands. At their request, their voices have been altered.
Yeah. It's a very dangerous drug. It's very deadly. More than that, if you don't know how to use it, yeah, you're going to be in big trouble.
Why do you sell fentanyl?
It's not that I want to do it. People ask for that, you know? And I know it's bad, but that's what they're asking. That's what they want.
Do you ever feel guilty about all the people that it's killing?
Yeah. But if I don't do it, anybody's going to do it. I don't feel guilty for all the people, you know? That's the truth. Yeah. I feel guilty because we have family too. Like you, like everybody, you know? Of course we feel guilty, but if I stop, it's going to continue. It's not my problem, you know?
This shipment will go through a legal border crossing in the fuel tank of this car. Right under the noses of US customs officers.
We're going to put that back there. This is just one car, one driver, 5,000 pills. The same thing is happening in hundreds of safe houses all across this border, ready to flood America with more fentanyl. And the men here tell us that this trade is unstoppable. Mr. Trump, he's determined to stop the drugs trade.
Yeah. Well, last time he was in office, he tried to do the same thing and never happened. So I think it's never going to end. There's always going to be a demand. Where's the biggest demand? The United States.
And there is no greater demand in the United States than in Philadelphia's Kensington Avenue. Here, Ros Pichardo refuses to be a bystander in America's opioid crisis.
You good? You gotta pull your pants up. She was laid out. Well, it's the drug. Like, once you take it, you're gonna fall out wherever. And that's kind of where she ended up, on a sidewalk like that. That shouldn't be normal. That shouldn't be normal at all. We can keep walking. I'm gonna get off this block right here.
She runs a drop-in centre for addicts. She's literally part of the fabric of the neighbourhood. She says she'll never leave.
I still got my bun on. It's kind of cool, right?
The war on drugs is being lost on America's streets. There are casualties on every corner. Fentanyl and the tranquilizer xylazine are used openly.
Sir, you gotta get up. You at the turnstile. Yo. He's okay. Like, this stuff is so deadly, and if you're not used to this supply, it can be very, very addictive, like dangerous and stuff.
So here at Sunshine House, where users are at their most desperate, most vulnerable, Ros dispenses hugs.
I gotta give you a hug. That was so much. This is so much helpful for us. Well, I really appreciate this place being here. I do.
It's somewhere safe for those trapped in addiction.
Treat us like we're human beings.
For John, it's been a lifeline.
I've been in the city all my life. The fentanyl, the opioid epidemic is the worst I ever seen. And this fentanyl will get you so hooked on that you have to get more. So they put it in everything.
Fentanyl has cost them so much.
I get really emotional when I talk about some stuff.
But here, when they collapse,
Whoop, we all right?
there's someone around to pick them back up again.
It's just a chair. Everyone's good. She didn't bump her head. We're good.
This disease is going to be the death of me if I don't get it together, because I sink deeper and deeper into a pit.
John's whole life is in the suitcase he drags through the streets. He's survived one fentanyl overdose already, but at 56, he doesn't think he'll survive another.
The problem that we have with the war on drugs is it didn't work then. I don't believe it's going to work now.
Ros battles on the streets every day against fentanyl overdoses. And despite America's pressure on Mexico, she doesn't expect that to change anytime soon.
When there's one substance taken away, there's another substance to replace it. So when there was heroin, now there's no more. Now there's fentanyl. When there's no fentanyl, now it's going to be xylazine. So it's like they'll find a way to keep people addicted so that people can make money off of people, off of the suffering of people.
This young woman, found overdosed, was later revived. The grim reality is, though, that America's opioid dependency is just as dangerous as Mexico's cartels. Quentin Somerville, BBC News.